live on Instagram.
Yeah, live on Facebook.
Hello everybody, I'm Emma from Street Hearts BG and this is...
Hello, I'm Anthony, Street Hearts BG. We started this between us about 4 years ago.
This is Cherry, also known as Cherry Choo Choos, who's going to live in London. And the main star of the show is Renée.
This is Renée, and when we eventually sort out the new bus, it's going to be called Renée the Rescue Bus. The bus behind us is called Frankie the Furever Bus, and we're going to have one named after Renée. Renée's been with us about 2 years now, and she keeps getting put back from the transport. But this time, it's her time. She's going to be the first one on the new bus.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a tour of the bus that we currently have. Never ever do a video with dogs around because Dumbo's shouting in the background. Just turn the cameras around, you can see him down there having a shout at a new boy. Dumbo, what are you doing? That's the joy of our free running shelter. The dogs are all wandering about and up to mischief. Yeah, so we've had Frankie the Furever Bus for about a year now. As many of you know, we had an accident in Frida, the old bus. So we got Frankie the Furever Bus, and there was quite a lot of hoops to jump through. You can't just put dogs in a van. There's a lot of legal requirements. That's an EU thing, but also DEFRA in the UK. So the dog's safety is paramount, and also we have got a lot of rules that we need to abide by. So Anthony will show you around the bus.
Just to interrupt, we've got Alex, who's just joined us live on Instagram.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, Alex. Look at your doggy. Isn't she good? Isn't she good, hey? Hey, say hello to your new daddy.
And this is Renée, because it's 2 for 1 this week. So when you adopt Cherry, you get Renée too.
And Cherry, she just sat on my shoulder like a parrot. It's not normal pup behaviour, but she seems quite happy with it. Hey? Hey? And hopefully, when we get Renée the rescue bus on the road, little Cherry Choo Choos will be in the new van, hopefully, won't you?
Okay, so when we buy the van, this was the ideal shape, size van. This is what we wanted from initially. And the initial thing for us was the size of the van, so that we could fit in here there are 17 permanent cages, but the van is registered for 25 animals. We can only go through the Channel Tunnel with 20 at a time, so the extra 5 is for the potential adoptions we may have in Europe en route. Obviously that depends on size. If we have 25 big dogs, they're not all going to fit in here. And in the van here we have built-in temperature control. We have fans in the roof that we can reverse the airflow, we can direct it into the van, we can take it from the van, and these are all a legal requirement. Also they're there to keep the comfort of the dogs paramount. The deck is a fitted deck, and this is a legal requirement, and the cages have to be fixed to this deck. They can't just have them stacked too high, 3 high sometimes, but we can only go 2 high. This here was paramount. This pod is our sleeping pod. We have bunk beds in here, we access them from the cab, and we have two people in the bus, so 1 driver, 1 person dealing with the dogs when we stop. We stop 8 times en route, and we walk the dogs, exercise them, feed them, do all this. This usually takes about an hour each time.
The reason, sorry just to interrupt, the reason that we walk the dogs, unlike a lot of other transporters, is because it's part of the training. So we live in the mountains here, but a lot of our dogs go to more urban environments. Cherry will be going to London. So en route we stop in busy service stations, we stop on motorway roadsides, in lay-bys, and we walk the dogs. And the reason that we do walk the dogs so much is, 1, we want to promote them being clean in the van. We don't want to teach them that going to the toilet in cages is a good thing, but also it gets them used to seeing different people and different sights. So by the time they get to the UK or their destination in Europe, they are more familiar with new things, and because they know and trust us, because you know they've been with us most of their lives, or since we've rescued them obviously, we're the best people to train them, because when they arrive in the UK they go to their new homes with new people, so if they're more aware of traffic and different people, it makes the transition into the new home a lot easier.
So part of the legal requirement is as well that we have to stop and we have to physically have rest for at least 9 hours every day, and we do that 3 times en route. We do it once in Romania, we do it once in the Czech Republic, and then we do it at Calais before we cross the tunnel. And so we built this pod on, and this was vital for us to have this, because it's just, well, it's not legal and it's completely unsafe to go without us having rest. In the vehicle, I'll go in the cab here, all this underneath the seat here, we have auxiliary power. I built all this myself, by the way, all the fittings, the cages, the fans, I did it all myself. So we've got an auxiliary system here, and this operates all the temperature control for the van. It's completely independent from the vehicle. So if we have a breakdown, or if we have to stop in traffic or something, this will keep going regardless of what's happening with the vehicle. Obviously it's limited, it'll only run for so many hours, but it's essential. One of the little luxuries we do have here, we have an inverter here that converts 12 volts to 240 volts, because if we just go to the back of the pod here, we've afforded ourselves a small luxury, and we have a coffee machine in the van. This is vital, keeps us awake, and when we're travelling through Europe, as soon as we get into Western Europe, 2 coffees can cost €9–10, and it's utter rubbish. So that was vital.
We are coffee snobs.
I can put the fans on here just quick so you get an idea of what's going on. So that's the fans. We have fans in the roof, and there's also a fan underneath the deck here which circulates the air from the bottom deck. And obviously the air flows through by the back doors and up this area here. And the windows in the back, they provide daylight for the dogs, which makes it more comfortable.
Who wants to see our beds? Well, Renée, you hold Cherry. I love my bed, and I sleep better in this bed than I do at home. It's a bit of a squeeze.
We're going to let Instagram go first, and I'll...
And there we have it. This is my bed, and Lord Smith sleeps under here, so he has to put the seat forward. But it's just absolute luxury, because we'd never had beds in the last van, so we used to sleep sitting up, which wasn't fun. It's like camping.
We do have to say that at present there is actually no mattresses on the beds, because we're just in the process of sourcing some new mattresses, and Rob, who's going to be operating our second vehicle, he's just sourced some new foam mattresses which are really good. So the old ones, we've taken them out, so we don't actually sleep on the metal. We do have a nice soft bed.
The other thing to point out, could you just pop these on?
Yeah,
is we can actually monitor, so if I just jump out, it's a bit of a swash. So from in here, because obviously we travel through quite warm countries and also cold in winter, we actually have thermometer temperature screens where we can see what the temperature is in the back of the van. So if it's too hot or too cold, we can adjust the heating accordingly. Let's just go round the back there. Rennie can't wait to get on the bus.
Apart from all these things obviously being beneficial to the animals, they are all legal requirements, and these are all things that we had to do to be able to gain the licenses to be able to do what we do. We built everything here ourselves. Obviously we bought the standard van, and then we did the decking, we fit the cages, we had the windows fit, I did all the fans, the electricity, everything. We've got a fridge here. Sometimes we have to take medicines across as well with us, and we keep them cool in the fridge, and that's also useful for us as well, so that we're not wasting money on ridiculous food and services en route. We try and be self-sufficient en route.
And plus we don't want to leave the dogs. That's another thing.
Well,
we have to stay with the dogs, so we can't go and have a meal in a restaurant. You know, we have to stay with the dogs at all times. So yeah, so that's part of the reason that we have the coffee machine as well, and the fridge.
So our plan is that the Renée the rescue bus will be exactly the same model as this, and when we fit this one out, it was trial and error, and we had to sort of make it fit, make it go along as we went, as I built it. But I know what to do now, exactly to do the other one the same. We've got all the measurements, we know where to bolt things, we know where to fasten things, we know where to run the wires. There's a few mistakes I made when I built this one, but we can do them properly next time so that I'm not wasting time. And we hope to be able to turn a vehicle around and have it operational by the end of October. That's the plan.
The other important thing is, I'm sure some of you saw our Instagram stories yesterday. We need a van here in Bulgaria all of the time. We will do double up the vans up for trips, but also when Frank is on the road, Renée will be used as our neutering bus. So yesterday we went out catching dogs and we were in our pickup, which is normal, but actually we caught 4 dogs and it was a bit of a squeeze in the back of the pickup, and also the licences to be able to only carry 3. So there is a lot of neutering to do in our area. We've just started working Triavna. We've still got a problem in Drianovo. So the idea is to take the bus out, because it's a visible presence as well, so that we can catch as many dogs for neutering as possible. Yesterday we had people handing us their own dogs. They wanted us to neuter their own dogs, and we want to have the capacity to take the dogs there and then, strike while the iron's hot, so to speak, so that we can take the dogs, get them neutered and return them. Having a bus here at all times is actually really essential, and that's another reason why we need a second bus, because for 10 days out of the month Frankie isn't here, and we do need another bus for that.
Another vital instance is that there is no adequate breakdown cover. If we're travelling across Europe and this van has a problem, the vehicle can be recovered, no problem, but 20 dogs, nobody's interested.
Well, it's not that, there's nobody licensed to take them.
We can't have anybody that can rescue the 20 dogs. So basically, if we've got a second vehicle, wherever that vehicle is in Europe, we'll always make sure that one is empty when one's full. So we have the option of taking the dogs from one vehicle, putting them on another, continuing the journey, coming back, whatever we decide at the time. And that is absolutely vital. And then once the dogs are off the vehicle, then the vehicle can be treated as a standard van and have its breakdown cover, towing, repairs, whatever's necessary. So that is a vital point about a second bus.
It's about 2,000 miles to get to the UK from here, and it is a long way. So the chances of a breakdown, you know, they are new buses, and that's why we need a new bus. But actually, if say for example Anthony was in Germany and broke down, I could be with him within sort of 20 hours, bit less, yeah, maybe 15, 20 hours. So, and the crucial thing is that when we leave Bulgaria, when we leave this shelter, we have to go through that tunnel within 5 working days. We have to go through that tunnel, otherwise the documents for transporting the dogs become invalid, and it'll cause an absolute headache. So it's really important that I'm able to dash across Europe if need be to rescue the dogs if there was a breakdown. So, if anybody's got any questions, we've got lovely Emmeline and Dan managing the phones, so please do ask. We are open and transparent, so any questions that you've got, fire away.
At the moment, it's just people saying how amazing you are.
Catherine Nicole, yes.
To be fair, I didn't build this bus at all. In fact, yeah, that's why Anthony's explained how it all works, because I just thought we could just put a few cages in it, but yeah, all this. The other thing is we have to buy a lot of the materials in England, so this, what sort of...
Well, it's aluminium, this is aluminium angle, and
yeah,
it's actually really hard to come by in Bulgaria for some strange reason, I don't understand why. So all the aluminium angle was bought in Manchester, and I'll do the same this time. This aluminium plate, I can actually buy that in Bulgaria, so I can't answer why I can't get both, but I can't.
The reason that we had to get aluminium is that standard steel is very heavy. So the van weighs, with all the cages in and the aluminium, it weighs 3 tonnes. The maximum weight in the van is 3.5 tonnes. So bear in mind, when you've got 20 dogs, some of them are quite chubby and you know, weigh a bit. You know, it's quite a few kilos that we have to carry in dog weight. So obviously we need to maintain under the legal limit of 3.5 tonnes.
We worked it out that potentially 25 dogs, 20 kilos each, it's about 500 kilos, isn't it? But we do have water on board with animals, we do have food on board, and even us, 2 people in the van, that adds to the gross weight of the vehicle.
What are you trying to say?
So we did once get stopped in Austria on a return trip actually with 70 kilos overweight with dog food, some donations we'd had, and we got fined €1 per kilo to.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
it was a good learning curve. So
if that happened with animals on, who knows what would happen?
Oh, Cherry.
We're getting a few
Okay.
questions.
One question is, what's the best way that people can donate for us to get the new van?
Okay, so we have a Just Giving page, which is in the link in the bio on Instagram. It's also on our website. We have PayPal as well, and the other thing is we have an NGO bank account. It's located in Bulgaria, but you can send it with is it TransferWise, which is a free money transfer. So just drop us a line, just send us a message, and we can send you the details for the bank account. Or like I say, there's a Just Giving page and PayPal as well.
I have Catherine Nicole here. Have all the dogs been in transit before, or do some get restless or travel sick a first time?
When we leave, the first stop is generally after about 2 or 3 hours, and some of the dogs, yes, are a little bit stressed. They have maybe the peed or the pooed or something like this, but we stop, we clean them all out, and we start again. We usually find by the end of the first day they've all got used to it and they're happy to see us, and the stress levels have fallen dramatically.
Yeah, so when we open these doors, so when we stop wherever we stop to walk them, when we open the doors, the faces of the dogs are like, oh, it's you, it's fine, we're safe, and they're ready to get out. And like Anthony says, usually before the first stop there's a few accidents. We don't have sickness so much because we don't feed the dogs before we set off on the first morning. But yeah, there quite often is some wheeze or poops or whatever, but usually by stop 2 the dogs get out and it's amazing. They just go, it's like they know, and they just go to the toilet. So as I say, we do try and keep the cages clean because nobody wants a smelly dog covered in sick and poop when they're delivered in England, but also it's really good training for them.
Okay, we've got another question about do you fit the bus out yourself?
Yes. Yes, I built this myself. It was just a standard vehicle when we bought it, and I installed everything you can see here, the bunk beds, all the electricity for the auxiliary fans, everything, even the coffee machine. Yeah, we did it ourselves. It's that way we can do it to the standard that we know is required, and the quality really, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I like things done properly.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to get involved at all. Not even suggestions.
Neil Atherton here is wondering if there's any chocolate in the fridge.
No, I never ate it all last time, Neil.
Didn't even
You sent it over, and I never even saw it.
No, it never even arrived.
It was squirreled away somewhere in the storeroom, and that was that. Either that or we've got rats.
We've got rats.
We see the remnants of chocolate wrappers by the time they come back.
No, it's just usually around Emma's face here.
Saving it for later.
Another question here is, what made you decide to actually start Street Hearts?
Okay, so shall I answer this? Yeah. So Anthony worked offshore when we moved here to Bulgaria. I was on a career break, and I loved it. Loved Bulgaria. Did lots of yoga, relaxation, and what have you. Had a vegetable garden, but one thing was, every time we went out, I saw dogs in desperate need, and I saw dogs mating, dogs fighting, puppies everywhere, and to be honest, I just thought I either have to do something about this or leave. And I'm very much a believer in if you don't like something, change it. So we approached the local municipality and asked if we could just neuter a few dogs, because not far from here it's a psychiatric hospital. It's a very good hospital, by the way. And there was loads of dogs there. There was 28 dogs, and it was just awful. And I couldn't stand to see puppies dying, and that's why we thought we'll just do a little neutering programme. This wasn't the plan at all. And to be honest, sometimes I think if I'd have known this wasn't going to happen, I don't think we'd have started it. But but no, we absolutely love what we do. But that was the reason that I couldn't live here in Bulgaria and see the problem of stray dogs on the streets. It was just awful.
Noah Arch is asking, what was the highest number of dogs you ever transported?
We've taken 22 through on the van, and one of those was for Czech Republic and one was for near Frankfurt in Germany. But of course, as I said earlier, we can only go through the Channel Tunnel to the UK with 20 dogs. That's a tunnel requirement. So we did squeeze 22 on that day, and 2 of them were dropped in Europe. Very rarely we travel with more than 20.
We are looking for organisations in Belgium and the Netherlands to work with, because we know that there's a demand for dogs there. So if anybody knows of anybody that would like to get on board with us, then please do ask them to drop us a line. Obviously there needs to be a legal rehoming service where they offer full backup for the dogs, which is what we have in the UK.
Alison Herod asks, do you always stop in the same places en route?
We do. We've worked out a route, and it takes us between 5 or 6 hours, and obviously there may be a little bit of a delay with traffic between each stop. And there's a GPS tracker in the vehicle. That's also a legal requirement, and every time we stop, that tracker logs the coordinates and the time that we stopped, and then we have to produce a printout with all those stops on to the equivalent of DEFRA in Bulgaria. So we have a set route and we know where we're aiming for, and 5 or 6 hours between stops generally.
The hardest day is the first day, isn't it? Because we want to get to the other side of Romania, so it's quite a long day, is day 1. And you'll know that, Alison, when you see your dog coming next time. But yeah, it's quite a long, it's a long drag, and we go through the mountains in Romania, so that's quite a long route. But we stop at some lovely services, and the next morning they do fabulous breakfast, so that's why we always stop there.
Vegetarian breakfast.
Graham Joel, hi guys, if we want to adopt a dog from you, what do we have to do?
Okay, so at the moment, because of the workload that we have here in Bulgaria, our partner rescues in the UK are managing adoptions on our behalf. We work for Dogs for Rescue, who rehome in the Greater Manchester area, and then for the rest of the UK it's Wild at Heart Foundation. And the reason that we don't manage the adoptions at this end anymore is because of the workload, but also we want adopters to get the best support pre-adoption and also post, because you know, training advice about health and everything is essential, and I just haven't got the time to give it to everybody, unfortunately. So our partner rescues do a fabulous job. So if you want to adopt a dog from us, contact either of them. If you can't remember that after this video is finished, then just drop us a line and I can give you the information.
A couple of questions about the future of Sweethearts. Do you see yourself expanding the shelter?
Every day, every week, every month, there seems to be a constant need for what we do, and also we have expanded this year, so our dogs have just gone there. Dumbo!
Enough! Sorry.
We have expanded this year. We've expanded into a new municipality, a neighbouring municipality. So we used to just concentrate on the Janovo area, which is I think 206 villages. But the Triavni municipality, I'm not sure, was 130 something villages, a lot more villages. So the dog problem is bigger. So it's a constant expansion programme really, and the second van is an expansion. We're improving our facilities. We were fortunate to receive a grant earlier this year from Battersea in London. We were very proud to receive this grant. An organisation such as Battersea to recognise our work was outstanding. And we're improving our facilities right now. If we can turn dogs around quicker, move them quicker, then we've got more facilities available here for more dogs. So yes, it is a constant expansion programme.
The other thing we want to do is work with other partners. So for example, next week I'm going to Gabribo Dog Shelter. And we want to share our knowledge as well about, you know, catching dogs, caring for dogs. So we do want to work with other organisations and help. You know, we're in a very lucky situation where we've got some great rehoming partners, and you know, and we work really well with them. So if we can help more dogs, then we will. And this grant that Anthony just mentioned, it'll improve the efficiency of our shelter. And having a second van will also help dogs to get to the new homes, and there is a demand for dogs. I mean, Wild at Heart have had 400 applications for our 29 dogs. You know that there is a demand for our rescues, and if we can help more dogs, then of course we will.
Noah Arch is asking, did you often get in controls while on transport?
Yeah, controls. Yes, we do get stopped. We get stopped periodically. Last trip we did, we were stopped at the border between Bulgaria and Romania by the Bulgarian equivalent of DEFRA. It's called Babex, and it was. Sorry, somebody's not happy. Yeah. Sorry, so we were stopped at the border between Romania and Bulgaria by the equivalent of DEFRA. They went through all our paperwork, and that's fine. We invite questions and we invite being stopped like that, as long as they're not just looking for problems. But they were really happy, really friendly. They checked the dogs, checked the microchips, checked the temperature of the van, and we were there maybe an hour, then we moved on. We quite often get stopped by the German police. More often than not, it's a quick check and on our way. Occasionally we get somebody who wants to check the tyre pressures and all sorts of things on the van, and that is quite difficult.
But again, you know, it's for the welfare of the dogs, and you know we've got nothing to hide, and we welcome being inspected. You know, we had an inspection of the shelter a couple of months ago. You know, it's important to make sure that we're doing our job properly, isn't it, Cherry?
Animal Journeys asks, how do you feed and water the dogs on the trip?
When depending on the temperature, if it's quite a warm temperatures when we go, obviously spring, summer months, we have water available in splash-proof bowls in every cage. That's a constant. We stop at least 8 times en route, and we usually feed the dogs on an evening. It's the last thing we walk. That could be, I don't know, it depends on traffic and things like that, but it could be sort of 9, 10 o'clock at night. We feed the dogs, and then we park wherever we stop. We'll be there for 9 hours at least, 10 hours, and the dogs all go to bed with full stomachs. And we do that on every night that we stop, which is 3 times.
Just say we don't sleep for 9 or 10 hours. So when we stop, we walk the dogs. It usually takes over an hour. Make sure they're comfortable, and then in the morning, after I've had my first coffee, we take the dogs for a walk again. So when we stop, Anthony does the cleaning of the cages because he's taller and it's easier for him to reach into the cages, and I walk them. And I'll tell you now, walking 20 dogs, especially puppies, when you're tired, is hard work.
8 times.
It is hard work doing the transport trips. It really is. But when we get to England and they meet their new owners, it's just magical. It really is. So it makes it all worthwhile.
It's the equivalent of walking 160 dogs in 3 days.
Yeah. By the time I get to Belgium, I've had enough. Haven't I? I'm usually a bit grumpy by the time we get to Belgium.
Sarah Stowell is asking, please can you tell us more about Renée? She looks like a lovely, calm girl.
Renée is beautiful. Renée was found almost probably nearly 2 years ago.
It was last March,
yeah. Yeah, we found we were called by a local mayor in a village not far from here, and there were 6 dogs in a garden. One of the dogs had actually starved to death on a chain, and the other 5 were in a terrible state. We're not sure how it happened, but Renée had managed to escape her chain. She exited the garden. She was laid on the roadside, and if you look on our fundraiser, there's actually a picture of me collecting her, and she was just skin and bone. She was very close to death. The other 5, the dead one, we actually left that because the police were involved and they needed evidence and things, so they went back to the garden to deal with that. And we took the other 4 away. Unfortunately, one of them didn't make it; it was too far gone. But the others, one of them lives in Vienna, and the other 2 live in
the UK.
Live in the UK.
Manchester. They were rehomed by Dogs for Rescue, and that's Margot, who's now called Bess, and Audrey.
And Phoebe lives in Vienna.
Yeah.
Renée is the only one that's left from that garden.
We keep telling her it's her turn, but there's just never enough space on the bus because she's available for adoption through Wild at Heart Foundation. Unfortunately, the volume of puppies and adolescent dogs always get priority. So if anybody's looking for an adorable girl who has had a really difficult time, we didn't think she'd survive, but she did. And she's easy. She's really, really easy. She loves the walks. She'll happily lie on your sofa. She's absolutely no bother at all. And she's called Renée Roo, not just Renée. It's Renée Roo, isn't it?
I promised her that we're going to name the new vehicle Renée the Rescue Bus, and she's going to be the first one on it. Yeah. Emma's quite often got different ideas and fills the van up with other dogs, but she's going. Regardless.
She's going, yeah.
She is going.
She's going to have other ideas. It's just little dogs like Cherry get more of a priority.
She's going to be the first one on Renée the Rescue Bus.
And I'll just say, this bus leaves on Wednesday. We've got 20 dogs on the bus going to the UK. We actually have another 20 dogs reserved, and they're not going to go until at least the end of October. So in our shelter we've got 20 dogs that have got homes. The cost of obviously feeding them and looking after them and what have you is raised. We have to spend more time training them and what have you, and actually they'll be better in their homes, in their new homes, and their owners are being really patient and what have you. But if we had a second bus, they would all be leaving on Wednesday as well. And just to add to that, we've actually got more than 20 reserved. So at the moment we've got, I think it's about 52 dogs reserved. That would empty our shelter to help those dogs on the streets, because there are dogs out there and puppies that we know about, and we literally have no space at the shelter, absolutely none. So this is another reason why we desperately need a new bus. Don't we, Renée Roo? Yeah.
Renata?
Jane W is asking, where's Black Thing?
Little Blackie! She's a film star. No, she's too posh for this. She's too posh. She only does national TV.
Emma Candy is asking who made the video and who sang in the video about the new bus.
So that was Michelle Harris and Dan Harding. Dan works at Cambridge University. I think it's Cambridge. I might have got that wrong. Kent. University of Kent. That's it. Sorry, Dan. And Michelle is a music teacher, but also an opera singer. And she, between them, they both made the song as a surprise, which was really lovely. I wish I could sing like that.
Krasimira Valcheva is asking if you also transport cats.
We're not licensed to transport cats at present. Once we've established ourselves with the second vehicle and we started to reduce the number of dogs, it may be something in the future that we'll look into, but at present we're not licensed to carry cats, only dogs.
What is the quarantine period before the dogs can leave the shelter?
Okay, so they must be here for a minimum of 30 days, and that's a requirement by the Food Standards Agency and our state vet, and that's so that they know that the dogs have had the full vaccines, including rabies. No dog is allowed to leave our shelter unless it's neutered. That's part of our licence as well, which is good, because our whole aim is to prevent more unwanted dogs. So yeah, it's a minimum of 30 days, and that's a legal requirement in Bulgaria.
Sue Dixon is asking if we could please show how you managed to access each cage to get the dogs out of hold.
Well, let's put Cherry in the cage. Oh, Cherry, not yet. End of October. What about Renée Roo? I'll put Renée in the back.
Every cage just opens at the front like this.
Come on, Renée Roo. Come on, Madam.
That goes in there. Obviously that cage would be far too big for her if she was travelling. We do put pads in the cages when we travel for the first maybe 2 or 3 stops, but then we actually use recycled towels because it's just softer and more absorbent for the dogs. And if you come to the back of the vehicle,
Renée's having a little bit of a snooze, she's not bothered. So this is the water container. We've got a water container. We always have fresh water on board, and these are the water bowls. So Renée would go in a cage like this. And she'll quite happily lie in there, I think. Come on, you girl.
as I said, she will have.
Cherry. One of the things that we do in our shelter is get the dogs ready for travelling by getting them used to going in crates, because obviously we don't want to just throw them in a crate and expect them to be happy in the back of a van. So we do crate training, we feed them in crates, do nice things so that they have a positive experience, yeah. So especially with puppies, but as you can see, Renée's quite chilled out about it all, aren't you, girl?
We used to actually transport the dogs with a third party, and looking back, when we used to drop the dogs off with the third party transport, there's nothing wrong with the third party, they were perfect by the way, that was the start. But having done it ourselves now, we realise how happy these dogs are to see us when we open the doors, and we often wonder how they felt when it was strangers opening the doors. And that's not detrimental to the people doing it, it's just the way that we wonder how the dogs felt about it.
End of October, Renée, I promise.
Noah Arch is asking, is it getting easier after so many transports to say goodbye to the dogs when you arrived in the UK?
It gets easier. I mean, I'm sure many of you know from Instagram, I fell in love with Sutty, who went last time. Dumbo, I just adore him because I've spent a lot of time with him. But I know that they go to amazing homes and they get more love and attention that we could ever give them. So that's what we focus on, is that they're going to be in somebody's house. And come winter, it can get up to -30 in Bulgaria. We're in the mountains, we're 600 metres above sea level, is that right?
600 to our front gate.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
So, you know, it gets very cold here. We can't have 100 dogs in our living room. Anthony tries, but, but we can't. So, by getting the dogs out into their new homes, I now know that we can help more dogs. And yes, it is hard. There are a lot of tears, but it's the happy tears.
Each one of us latches onto different dogs. You know, Emma might fall in love with a particular dog, or I might. So sometimes it might be hard for Emma on a particular transport because there's two dogs that she really loves, or vice versa, it might be for me on the next one. But we look at the bigger picture, so every dog that we manage to find a new home for basically frees up space for some more dogs to come in. It's as simple as that. The more dogs we can rehome, the more dogs we can help.
But on Wednesday I will cry a lot when Dumbo leaves, because I have coffee in bed with him every morning, and yeah, you know, and when you connect with a dog like that, it's really special. But I know he's going to a great home.
How do you decide which dogs go on the bus?
It's usually, well, it's our rescue partners. So like this trip, which leaves on Wednesday, there's a lot of young dogs, a lot of puppies, and it's better for a puppy to, so like Cherry, who's fast asleep over there. Cherry, look at her. So Cherry will be going when she's just short of 5 months. That's a really good time for training and what have you. So, and puppies are hard work. They are hard work. People think that we flap about and cuddle puppies all day. They are really hard work. They're labour intensive. We do a lot of training with them. So it's better that they get into their new homes so that they have further training and also, you know, get used. It's like children, I suppose. Their brains absorb so much information when they're younger. So yeah, and a lot of the demand is for puppies and adolescent dogs, and that is the reason why Renée is still here.
We also find as well that our two amazing rescue partners, Dogs for Rescue in Manchester and Wild at Heart in London. Wild at Heart, historically, their adopters more often than not prefer the puppies and younger dogs, whereas Dogs for Rescue actually prefer the older dogs, so we've got a good mixture. So when we've got a lot of puppies to rehome, which we have on this trip unfortunately, it's generally a Wild at Heart, but then when there are more adult dogs, it's generally Dogs for Rescue. That's how it works.
Jane W. is asking, how do you think Brexit will affect your travels to the UK?
We have absolutely no idea, unfortunately, and it doesn't matter what official websites, news, whatever we look at, there is nothing concrete that says anything that we can make a decision on. We expect that the documents we travel on now are called traces, and that's a European documentation system. So basically we get the documents in Bulgaria, they're in every language for every country we pass through, including the UK. When the UK leaves the EU, we will probably have an alternative document for England, but as yet we're not sure what that is and nobody seems to know. So it's just a case of wait and see, I think.
I think I've read quite a bit into it, and I think it'll just be definitely have a different form of documentation. It might be that we have to do rabies, tea trigger levels, but I must make it clear that we don't, because a lot of people keep sending us links for the pet passport scheme. Our dogs don't travel on the pet passport scheme. Pet passport scheme is meant for people who own dogs. So I don't know, somebody that lives in France travelling into England and what have you. Our dogs travel with official documentation. It's not pet passport. We're classed as type 2 animal transporters. So we actually come under general animal transportation, don't we? Our licence. So, but yeah, we don't know the answers yet. We don't know if they're going to go out with a no deal. We've got no idea. But it's like a lot of other things. We've just got no idea.
Gwen, one of the former dogs here, says hi.
Oh,
Hello,
hi, Gwen.
Gwendolina.
And Neon Green Network asks, is Squidge up for adoption?
Squidge has just been reserved through Wild at Heart. She'll be going at the end of October.
Jane O'Neill is asking, do you do home delivery?
No.
No, because of the situation with the tracers documents, they have to be officially go through a registered organisation such as ourselves in the UK.
They're basically held 48 hours, and that's so DEFRA can go and check that we've done our job properly. So they're here for 30 days, and then we go to the UK, and then the dogs are held for 48 hours, so DEFRA can come and check that we've done everything that's necessary. Sometimes they're at the tunnel when we arrive there, but yeah, we can't just take dogs direct to their homes. They have to go to a DEFRA registered facility, which is Dogs for Rescue.
Mincho, the doctor's asking if we can see him. I think he's in the house at the moment.
Mincho will be on my sofa.
Annie, could you go find him?
Yeah, could you go and get me? So actually, a Mincho, bless him, actually is Fanny is our new volunteer that arrived last night, and Mincho actually slept in her room. So if you connect with me, Mincho's new adopter, because I know that you're adopted through Wild at Heart, I can send you some photographs of him. But he's such a character.
Character.
He's the boss of this place. So yeah, he'll be on my sofa right now, but Fanny's going to go and get him.
Julie Lancaster is asking, if you had bigger capacity, how many dogs would or could you take in, or will it always be a set number based on your license?
Our licence for the shelter is actually 70 dogs, although it is a little bit flexible, obviously.
We're at 108 right now.
And the thing is, we're moving around every 4 to 5 weeks now. We're moving 20 dogs. Our plan is that we can move 40 dogs in a 5 or 6 week period. So the more dogs we move out, then we can try and maintain our 70 capacity, but of course if we're moving them out quicker, we're going to always have space available here to bring them in. That's the plan.
I actually don't want to increase our shelter capacity, and there's a number of reasons for that. Is the quality of care. So, you know, training is really important. If the dogs don't get enough, if we have we've got 108 dogs at the moment, and we've got some fabulous volunteers. We've got 7 volunteers at the moment. That is not normal for us at all. Normally it's just me, Anthony and Dan. Mincho, come here.
The car has arrived.
Come on. This is Mincho, the sofa hogger. Aren't you? Yes. So yeah, just going back to that. The other thing is, we've got more than 70 dogs, it can have a detrimental effect on the current dogs that we have. So, you know, we don't want puppies to get scared. If we've got some scared dogs, then they need to be in pens on their own. So it's something that we might consider in the future. Things have definitely changed for us this year with the great help that we're getting. But do I want to go over 70 dogs? I'm not sure really, and especially in winter, I cannot tell you how awful it is getting up in the morning and all the hose pipes are frozen. It's -15, the worry about dogs being warm enough and having warm enough facilities. I'd rather not go over 70.
Well, if we can
expand and improve,
transport the dogs quicker,
we shouldn't need to.
We shouldn't really need to go over that limit. It's always flexible to a few, obviously, like now.
But like at the moment, if we get this new van at the end of October, 40 dogs will leave at the end of October. We've got a waiting list of dogs to come in, all fabulous dogs. You know, I've seen them, I've assessed them. We'll definitely be able to take 40 out at the end of November. And my idea is, that when it's really cold in winter we'll have minimum dogs, so that that nothing's getting cold, or not that anything's ever suffered. We've not ever lost any dogs,
Jumbo.
but I want to maintain the quality of the work that we do. So yeah. Okay.
Joy Reedman says,
Hello, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
We missed you this year.
Yeah, Joy was supposed to come and join us this year, but COVID stopped that.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah.
she says her dogs Snowy and Gally say hi.
Hi.
Sorry, Gally.
And can you explain about how to volunteer with street huts?
Right, so if you go onto our website, there's a section purely about volunteering. Now, we do have an application process because we want to make sure we get the right people to come to our shelter, don't we, Mincho? So we have an application process, and then we do an interview a video interview, that's the word, because we want to make sure that volunteers come here with expectations of what we want, but also what volunteers want. So, and I think we only introduced that this year, and it's really worked. They've got the cameras, so I've got to say that they are the best volunteers we've had this year. They've been fabulous, haven't
No,
they?
we've had a good year this year. We've had a really good year. It's really helped
A mix
maintain.
of skills. It's been
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's maintained the atmosphere. We try and keep a good, happy atmosphere here, and the volunteers we've had have helped that long.
Yeah, it's been fabulous, and we welcome volunteers, absolutely. This year we're full, but we'll be starting taking volunteers again in spring. But yeah, so.
We need Dan to stay forever, but he
Come on.
keeps threatening to leave.
Let's do an online petition
Here's
for Dan
Dan.
to stay.
How many people think Dan should stay forever?
Dan is my wingman when it comes to administration and answering messages, and we've just invested in a shelter database, and Dan has inputted all of the dogs on that. So yeah, Dan needs to stay, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I was thinking about burning his passport. Is that the right thing to do?
I've hidden it. Liddy's owner, Laura,
Oh, hi
Hello,
Laura.
Laura.
Oh,
Hi.
Liddy from Lidl.
she's currently laying on her, snoring away. Aside from money, is there anything else people can donate to help you?
Towels. Towels are always handy. If anybody can collect old towels and possibly take them to Dogs Rescue in Manchester, that would be hugely beneficial. Or if not in the Manchester area, if they could arrange with Wild at Heart, then we could collect them in London somewhere.
Towels, rugs, bedding, dog food obviously. Puppy food is really expensive here, and I'm not convinced of the quality as such, so any puppy food. We also have an Amazon wish list. So one of the things that we're desperate for, we've discovered with so many volunteers, is that we need walkie-talkies in the shelter. So we're putting them on the Amazon wish list. But yeah, the Amazon wish list works really well, and as somebody who used to donate to charities, I'd rather donate a physical thing that will be of use. So do check out the wish list. But yeah, on our UK trips, we'll definitely pick up old towels, old bedding. Yeah.
Tim French is asking, can US citizens still fly to Bulgaria, see compatibility, choose a dog and fly home with it?
Yeah, and
I think
Tim?
so,
Yeah, we've got one that lives in Boston, Massachusetts. Obviously, we do the home checks. Don't just hand over dogs. However, Tim, we know you very well, and we would definitely let you fly home with one of our dogs. But yeah, you usually have to fly via Munich with Lufthansa, Frankfurt. Sorry, with Lufthansa definitely fly, and I think it was about €400 to take a dog.
which is really good value in the scheme of
But
things.
the person has to fly with it. If you send it as like hold luggage with a courier, I think it's quite expensive. But yeah, Tim, come and get a dog. Oh, Mincho.
Busy Lizzie is listening to you both.
Hi,
Busy
Lizzie.
Lizzie.
And says-
Elizabeth!
she says thank you for all the tummy rubs that
Oh,
you've given us.
we loved Lizzie, and we never thought she would get a home. She'd been here for quite a long time, and we decided we did have a space on the bus actually a few months ago, and it's the best thing we did. I mean, Busy Lizzie's about 10 years old, and she now lives in Manchester, and she's loved. And
Yeah.
Mincho,
He just wants to go away and cause some trouble.
he wants to like my sofa.
Carl Egan is asking, have you noticed a change of attitude to dogs from the people since you started?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
We have,
absolutely.
yeah.
yes,
I think I'm a strong believer that you lead by example. Mincho's going, by the way. Hi, Mincho. If you lead by example, others will follow. And I always say here, it is a lack of education. It isn't, and it's neglect. It's not open cruelty as such. We had a wonderful experience yesterday in the Roma district of Dranovo, where people were handing our dogs. We couldn't take enough dogs away, unfortunately, because we were just in the truck. But they were handing dogs for neutering, which is amazing, you know. So yeah, I think it definitely is changing. And one thing that is changing, and it's always hard to deal with, but people are actually coming to us and asking us to take their dogs instead of dumping them on the streets. They're actually physically coming to us, which is a good thing. And much as, you know, my own beliefs are how could you give your dog up, it's better than throwing it on the streets, and that happens all over the world. Having been on the Battersea course, you know, people gift their dogs to Battersea, that happens. So yeah, I think things are definitely changing from that point of view, aren't they? And you see more people.
Our vet has definitely noticed an increase in local people taking their own animals for neutering. Some people ask us to help financially. The pension here is very low, and if they were to neuter a female dog, it's almost half the monthly pension. But if we can help financially, we will. But not everybody asks. Some people just do it themselves, which is incredible.
We did a lovely old lady's dog this week. I need to post the photograph, but she sent us some chocolates, and she was in tears. She was so grateful, you know. And the monthly pension here is about €100. It costs 35 to neuter a female dog, so you can see why people don't do it, and we're happy to do that. But yeah, definitely seeing a difference,
And
a big
yesterday
difference.
the children, the Roma children, were with us while we were catching dogs. They were helping us. They were showing us where they were. They were bringing the dogs to us, and in itself, that's just incredible, isn't it? Because it's like an education program, but they're in their own territory.
Becky Ingram, what does an average day look like for the dogs? How many sleep in the house with you, and where do the others sleep?
Okay, so part of the shelter improvements are that Anthony's going to build log cabins for the dogs, and he's done quite a few already. So at the moment, my horse's stable is occupied with about 12 dogs at night. And one lovely thing about our dogs is they love to sleep together. And in winter they'll huddle up together, which is nice. We've also got the dog shed, which is it's Anthony's old workshop. He's been turfed out of there, and we're actually going to make that into like a home. So we're going to put a fire in there. We're going to put different level beds in there, because dogs generally like to lay off the ground. We're going to put a sofa in there so volunteers can go and sit with them. So that's another area where dogs sleep, and tonight there's 10 in there. And then we've got the different pens. So so they're scattered about all over the shelter. And one idea that we've got is we will do a live tour of the shelter in the next couple of weeks, so you can see where the dogs are and how happy they are all together. Some dogs, like handsome Hugo, have to sleep alone because he's just a grumpy old man. It's a bit like him, really. But generally they sleep together and they're happy with that. We also have a clinic, so if any dogs are sick or we need to keep a close eye on them, they sleep in the clinic. We've got 2 puppies sleeping in the bungalow with Emmeline and Vinny. Mincho's now sleeping with Fanny across in the other house. And in our house, how many dogs are there?
I don't know, it averages about 8 to 10, depending on who sneaks through the door last thing at night.
We've had a couple of questions saying, could adopters bring any donations to you when you meet them at the service stations?
Yes,
absolutely.
that would be amazing.
That'd be fabulous, especially chocolate.
Oh. Do you know, it's him that's a chocoholic, not me. Yeah, anything. Old towels. And the other thing is, because we've got more volunteers this year, one thing I've really noticed is that we're short on bedding. So if anybody's got any old bedding, obviously, a reasonable standard, stuff like that would be appreciated as well. And pillows and duvets.
Michelle Claire Casey says, Penny and Murphy say hello.
Hi Michelle, we miss you. We don't see much of you anymore. Michelle ran the marathon for us last year. Incredible.
Crazy woman, crazy. London Marathon.
Incredible
very,
experience.
very proud of her.
Just being there watching it, I loved every minute of it. Hello Michelle.
Neil Atherton says, Trini and Foxy say hi.
Hi.
And
Hi Trini, hi Foxy.
And Dan is not allowed to leave.
No, exactly.
It's outrageous, isn't it? Disgusting.
It's alright, I'm going to find his passport.
We are going to burn his Pontefract t-shirt though, Neil. Well, I'm going to use it as an oil rag for the digger.
That's my best t-shirt.
And Vicky Ollerton says you need to adopt Dan. Piper says hi to you all.
Oh,
No,
hi,
I'm
Piper.
not sure it's worth it actually adopting him. To be honest. It's not that good.
No, I'm not quite. No, I'm not going that far.
I'll just say, last year, someone mistook Emma for my mum.
And then for your granddad.
John and Rob say hi.
Hi,
Hello,
John.
John. Hello, Rob.
Jen,
Get
who
here bright and early tomorrow.
Yep.
Jen, hi Jen.
Hi,
missing
Jen.
you.
We miss you.
and Jen, the dog they are fostering, is looking forward to travelling
Yes,
on Wednesday.
On Wednesday,
Super.
yeah, super duper. We've got Maisie and Jen who are with John and Rob at the moment, having a bit of extra training.
Sometimes dogs don't actually settle into the shelter environment very well, but we try and identify that. And fortunately, like Jen, for instance, she wasn't settling at all. She was quite stressed. So Rob and John offered to foster her until we go on the transport, and then hopefully then she'll be straight into a home when we get to England. And
yeah, she's going to Dogs for Rescue. She's a lovely, delightful girl. It was just too much for her here.
yeah, I suppose it's like some people just don't cope well with crowds, do they? And dogs are the same.
Carol, Mark, and Summer say hi.
Oh, hi, Summer.
Hi, Summer.
And Michelle says she misses you guys, and I think you're even more crazy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Tom is asking, who is your favourite photographer?
Oh.
Dan.
Aside from
Dan.
Dan's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, Dan, somebody taught Dan what to do, and he's really good now.
Yeah, so Tom's coming to see us on Tuesday night, staying for a few days.
Now, Tom was with us a few
Our
weeks
peace
ago.
and quiet will be disturbed.
If you followed our stories and Instagram posts, and Tom was with us a few weeks ago, and he did some amazing photography of the dogs, and he showed the people here how to take the best pictures with the telephones.
Yeah, we've definitely improved
Incredible,
a lot.
really,
Yeah.
really good, really good.
And Sarah Killick says, Fig is busy doing a sponsored walk trying to raise funds for the new bus. She's currently snoring on the sofa. I am in awe of you all.
Fantastic, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Love to little Figgy.
No more questions coming
Right.
through on Instagram.
Okay,
Either on Facebook.
Okay.
Right, well, thank you for listening, everybody. That was actually went on much longer than we thought. We thought there'd probably be about one question.
Yeah.
We had some lined up from the volunteers actually to try and make it look like but we didn't need them.
No, but yeah, thank you very much, and we hope to do a bit more of this, because one thing that I've realised recently is that we don't tell you all enough about what we do. So like I say, we'll do a live tour of the shelter at some point. We'll show you the work that Anthony's been doing as well, because we now have, this is top news, we now have running water throughout the shelter, which is massive, because before, I mean, how long is this shelter? How many metres?
It's about 100 metres
Yeah.
from one end to the other.
Yeah, and for the last 4 years we've been dragging a hose pipe up and down the shelter, and it doesn't sound much, but it's actually quite hard work. So now we've got water stations throughout the shelter.
We've got drainage, we've run electricity to all the pens.
Yeah.
The CCTV plan is still ongoing, by the way, because I know a lot of people showed interest in that. We've had somebody up a few days ago actually who's gone away to draw a plan, and he's going to come back with a quote.
I've actually got the quote now. He's sent it today.
So it's on, is it?
There's going to be full camera surveillance of the shelter, and we'll have an AMPR camera on the lane. So we'll be getting on with that soon. So there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and I know we don't share it with you all, but it's not just cuddling cute puppies. Is it Cherry Choo Choo?
It'd be absolutely impossible to share every minute of every day.
No.
Honestly, it's very fluid here, and things change rapidly.
Yeah.
We wake up with a certain plan, but by the time we've gone to bed, we've done 14 different things. So it very rarely plans the day works out as we plan.
So if anybody's got anything that they particularly want to see, then just send us a list, and we'll try and do live videos like this again. Can't guarantee we'll do it straight away. We're quite tired, aren't we? It is tiring work, but when we've got the energy and the time, we'll definitely love to show you around our shelter and show you some more dogs.
I've got just
Okay.
a couple more questions just gone mid. Dan, Michelle is asking if you're going to commission any of your artwork.
I haven't thought about it, but maybe one day.
And Margaret Duncalf is asking, how are the updates going with the donation from Battersea?
Yes, I've just we've just literally written the first report.
Intermediate report.
I had to get Anthony to do it because it was talking about drainage and things and
Electrical
conduits and
cables. Emma just says, "Oh yeah, we dug a hole, put some pipes in it."
So Anthony's just done that today. So yeah, we'll be emailing that off tomorrow. But yeah.
Cool.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's it.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your ongoing support.
Yeah.
Because, to be absolutely frank, without support from other people, we just couldn't continue with this. Because we need you. We need you all.
Yeah, and you know, it's incredible how we've grown from a little thing. And just the final thing I would say is people often ask about, you know, how do you do it? And I believe if you put your mind to something, anybody can do it. So yeah, have a great evening, and
We run out of time on Instagram.
speak to you soon.
Instagram's gone, but Facebook's still alive. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Bye.